Of here, and this is the Twin Cities Real Estate Unlimited show. My name is Laurie Knudson, and with me on another screen, probably over in Maple Grove, correct?
That's correct.
Brian Nelson. So I'm going to go ahead and have Brian go ahead and say hello. And Brian, you are a mortgage lender with Mortgages Unlimited. And just how long have you been in the business, and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Yes, Laurie. My name is Brian Nelson, and I've been in the business for over 20 years in the lending business. Also have some real estate experience as well. And I am currently at our Maple Grove headquarters office of Mortgages Unlimited, doing the show live from there. So
terrific. Thank you. So we're just doing a quick show today, shortening it up a little bit. And we're going to be showing our screens. So we're both going to be working with that. We're going to talk a little bit about the current trends in the market. My name is Laurie Knudson. I'm a realtor with the MLSonline.com, office located out of the Champlin, Minneapolis area. I've been a realtor since 1992. We have branches down in the Lakeville area, also Minneapolis, and kind of agents all over the Twin Cities area, including central Minnesota. So we want to encourage our viewers to reach out to the MLSonline.com and find a realtor in your area. Brian, do you want to start by showing your screen and bringing that up? And you were going to talk to us a little bit about a lending program, I believe.
Yes, and as I'm pulling that up, I want to highlight one of the different programs, one of the special programs that we do a lot of. I think it should be up there on the screen. I
do see it.
All right, this program is called the USDA Rural Development Loan, and the nice thing about this loan is that it is 100% financing. So I'd like to dive in and tell you just a little bit of the highlights about this program. Probably one of the biggest criteria for the loan is the geographic area. And if you can see here, try to expand this a little bit, the geographic area right in the Twin Cities is ineligible, but once it starts getting outside a little bit, then you can see it is, it goes by census tracts as far as how dense of population there is. So the Twin Cities area is not included in this, but once you get out a little ways, then it does work. And the nice thing, like I said, is 100% financing. And the other thing is it has income restrictions as far as you have to be like a family of two. I think it's under 90,000 for the income within close to the Twin Cities here. When it gets further out, it's down to like 75,000, but it goes up with the number of people. But here, if I scroll towards the top, and I do have this flyer available for people to click on, but it's nice because it does not have the down payment. It also has very minimal mortgage insurance, and what I mean by that is your standard conventional loan would probably have about a factor of 0.62. FHA is 0.85, and this program is 0.5, or maybe I think it just went up to 0.55.
Nice.
It's much lower than the other ones out there. Another thing unique about this one is that you can actually roll in the closing costs if the loan appraises, or if the house appraises for a higher amount. So how often does that happen, Laurie, when you're out there and you want to, if the buyer's a little bit short of money, not only is 100% financing, but you can actually roll in if it appraises to 5,000 above what you're purchasing at. You can throw that in there. So.
Well, that's excellent news, especially if this buyer, it's excellent news for the seller on that end, because then they don't have to ask the seller to come up with that money. They can roll it into their own loan. So that is really an incredible program. And I noticed in your map, one of the areas that I have a lot of buyers and sellers in is the Wright County area, because I have a lake home out in that area in Annandale. And I noticed Monticello and Buffalo, Zimmerman, Becker, that whole northwest corner there. Well, that's certainly where I do a lot of work, also towards Isani. So how is the qualification process as far as timeline on this? How long does it take for people to get qualified?
Right now it's pretty quick. It doesn't take much longer than the normal FHA loan, and it mirrors the FHA quite a bit as far as the qualifications. But one thing I do notice about these is that they do not like outbuildings. So if there's a lot of sheds or something like
good
that,
to know. Yeah.
pole barn or something like that, they subtract that value out of it. So,
how about acreage in general?
they're usually, as long as it's typical for the area, you're going to be okay with it. They don't like anything that's income producing, like with farmland or anything like that. So even though it's a USDA loan, it's not a farm loan. So don't get that confused on the two of those.
Yeah. And when you say pole buildings or extra storage buildings, so does that mean they're not going to give value to them, or they don't want it on the property at all?
Well, what they actually do is when they'll have the appraiser assess a value for that. So if the one barn is, I've had it where a chicken coop was $500 or something, and they've actually subtracted the value, the $500 from the appraised value.
Okay, so it's not that they can't have it, but they're not going to allow it to have value.
Correct, and it doesn't really become an issue until you start getting larger outbuildings. You got a 30 by 50 pole barn. All of a sudden, it's like, well, that's going to start counting in something.
Yeah, I did have somebody actually have an outhouse. not that it was their only bathroom, but yeah, absolutely. Some of those buildings are just not going to give credit for or even take away from, and sometimes they'll just call it a garden shed. So good to know. So folks can get a hold of you. What is your website again, if you wouldn't mind just...
Sure. That's www.closewithbrian.com. And also we'll try to post something that has an actual link to this as well. But this
yeah, we can add that for sure. So very good. I like that screen. And I think a lot of realtors, of course, are fond of that program.
Yes.
So you go ahead and press stop screen share there for me at the top. And then I'm going to go ahead and start screen sharing mine. Or is yours already? Can you see my? Okay. Yep. Can you see my screen now?
I certainly can.
Okay, we're getting used to this. All right, so I'm going to lock it in on my video feed to my screen here. And Brian, I decided to pull up one screen today for a new post that came out talking about America's ranking real estate as #1 long-term investment. Now, we've known that in the past, but more recently, it's been harder to really determine if that was a good choice or not, because we've seen a reduction in value, and we are showing strong numbers again that this is a good investment to make as real estate. So can you see as I scroll down here, can you tell me if you can see the chart down below as well?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. Good. So they're showing that Americans feel that 35% of Americans feel that real estate is strong again. In the past, we saw a lot of gold and bonds and things like that when the market wasn't so good. And so basically this means the confidence is back for Americans to choose real estate as an investment. And this shows some of the demographics among who they surveyed. But Keeping Current Matters is really a great source of material that I use to go ahead and share information for. So over here, if you go to my website on Keeping Current Matters, you'll be able to get in touch with me here. I also wanted to share, you tell me if this goes okay. Well, let's see here. If I go to the selling page here, it's also got a place that you can go ahead and enter your name, email address, phone number, and put in the little code here to make sure you're not a robot. And we can go ahead and send you a selling your house guide, which will really give you a nice customized version of what you need to do to get your home ready for sale. So as we've talked about, we are seeing a strong sense of economy and confidence in selling your home right now. There certainly are more buyers than there are homes for sale. So we really do want to encourage people to think about getting their house on the market. So if you do need that selling guide, why just go ahead up here to this button. If you just need to get in touch with me, you can go there. Again, if you're looking at buying, there's a buying guide as well. So please reach out to me if you would like to talk about any of those options. And if I can click in here, if you click the article, you'll be able to share this to anybody's Facebook. So if you wanted to go ahead and post it to friends of yours, you guys can go ahead and do that as well. So please share the article. I would be happy to have anybody share that and print it out if you want to give it to anybody who might not have internet. So yeah, just talking about how our #1 long-term investment is housing again, and then with Brian being able to show us that that now is the time to get a good loan on a home, and USDA is one of the many programs you offer, and 0 down, and then there's some income restrictions on that as far as you couldn't make too much money because then they wouldn't put you into that loan. That loan is really made for rural purchasing and for certain income limits. But the income, again, what was it for just a single buyer?
1 to 2 family household is around 90-some thousand, 94,000. But it goes by county as well. So like
Sure.
you're putting out a tier or 2 out, and it may go down as low as, I think 75,000 is the lowest I've seen as far as the max income for some of the outlining counties.
And I will say that the listing inventory is a lot stronger in the outlying counties too. Now, Buffalo, Monticello, we're still in a pretty tight listing market there. But if you go towards St. Cloud, there's actually quite a few listings out there. So if you're a buyer, going out into the outer suburbs or out into those counties is probably a good option. If you're a seller, you're going to be in a good place, even if it's not quite as fast as it is in the cities. It's a great place for that program to come in as well. So so that is all we have for today's broadcast, and we're going to be talking about some other things again later in the week. We have, or I guess next week, Wednesday, we'll have another show. So we also just have some pre-recorded shows. If you want to go to our Facebook page, I believe you can search for us on Facebook under Twin Cities Real Estate Unlimited Show, correct?
That's correct. I hope you can come and join us and click in and view some of the past shows that we've done and gain some knowledge and expand your horizon on real estate and on mortgages.
Yep, we're going to have some visitors joining us on some of the upcoming shows as well. So for now, I'll just say goodbye from Champlin at the MLSonline.com. And Brian, you are in...
Sure. And we just wanted to thank you all for joining us today and welcome you back for our next show. Have a great day. Thank you all.
Thanks now.